This is an actual unsolved mystery that has been bugging me for a very long time. So here it is. It was the summer of 1974. The location was Plainfield, New Jersey, a suburb of New York City. It was around 8:30 in the evening when she took her two younger brothers out to the local shopping mall. She wanted to buy some new school supplies because the new semester was about to begin. But while she was in the store, her brothers got bored and went to the local arcade. And by the time Maria came out of the store, her brothers were nowhere to be found. Maria began to panic and immediately called the police. What happened next will shock you. After receiving Maria's call, the police immediately dispatched a search team. They were worried that her brothers might have been kidnapped. The officers canvassed the area but couldn't find any sign of the missing kids. All they had were Maria's word that her brothers left with her at the mall and that they were most likely in danger. As night fell, the police grew more concerned. This wasn't the first time the kids had gone missing. Just 3 weeks prior, they had gone out for an ice cream and never returned home. Luckily, after being gone for almost 24 hours, they were found safe and sound at a relative's house. But this time was different. Maria knew her brothers weren't at a relative's house. In fact, she knew they didn't go anywhere. At 1 a.m., the police decided to bring in a bloodhound to pick up the brothers sent from the mall. The dog sniffed around the area and then began to walk away. The police followed the dog for over half a mile until it stopped in front of a house. The bloodhound barked, indicating that whoever was inside the house was connected to the missing boys. When the police entered the house, they found something horrible. Inside the basement, they found a girl who appeared to be tied up. When they freed her, they realized it was Maria. But how did she get there? Why was she kidnapped and where were her brothers? When asked what happened, Maria told the police that she had gone to the mall with her brothers. Then she went into the store to buy school supplies. She told the cops that as soon as she left the store, she felt someone grab her. She struggled, but the kidnapper overpowered her. He then put her in the trunk of his car and drove her to this house. She told the police she was assaulted, but that was the only thing she remembered. As the police were questioning Maria, the FBI showed up. That's because this kidnapping had all the makings of a classic FBI case. Not only was it a local girl, but there was also a possible sexual assault involved. Plus, there was no ransom note. And as we all know, every second counts when dealing with these types of cases. The lead agent on the case would be Agent Robert L. Ramsey. He would later say that he had never seen anything like this case before. It had all the markings of a textbook kidnapping, yet there was something off about it. While Maria received medical attention, the police searched the house to see if they could find any evidence. They combed through the basement where they found Maria and discovered something truly bizarre. There was a hidden door in the basement, but it was locked. They tried to break it open, but it wouldn't budge. But just to be sure, they called in a locksmith. After a few minutes of tinkering, the locksmith opened the door. What they saw on the other side was unbelievable. It was another room. This one looked just like a normal bedroom. There was a bed, a dresser, a desk, and even a closet. But there was no window, and the room was pitch black. It was clear that the only way in or out of the room was through the door that led to the basement. But this raised a lot of questions. Who was staying in that room? Was it a secret passage used by the kidnapper? Or was the kidnapper hiding in that room right now? Unfortunately, they would never find out. Right after the cops found this secret room, Maria was taken to a hospital. She would later tell investigators that she had no memory of being assaulted. This was a common reaction after a traumatic event, so the doctors weren't too surprised. Meanwhile, the FBI was busy searching the room, but after several hours, they came up empty. As the days went by, the media picked up the story, and soon the whole nation was talking about the girl behind the door. Did the kidnappers use the room as a holding cell? Where were the brothers? And why did the kidnapper let Maria go? These questions would keep the FBI up at night. To make matters worse, Maria's condition began to deteriorate. Not only did she lose her appetite, but she also became extremely depressed. Her parents were beside themselves with worry. How could their daughter cope with such trauma? And what was the FBI doing to find her brothers? What the FBI didn't realize was that the key to this case was right under their noses. While they were inspecting the room, one of the agents noticed something strange. The door to the room didn't have a doorknob on the outside. Someone would have to crawl through the opening to open the door from the other side. So it seemed unlikely that the kidnapper would hide in that room. It seemed like a small detail, but it was actually a huge red herring. It made the FBI think that the kidnapper was still out there somewhere, which led them down a bunch of wild goose. Meanwhile, back at the station, a detective was going through the evidence. He pored over everything, looking for any connection to the last disappearance of the kid. He remembered that the day the kids went missing, a neighbor saw a man fitting Maria's kidnapper's description driving slowly through the neighborhood. He said the man kept looking into people's yards. Could this guy be the kidnapper? If so, what was he doing in the neighborhood? To find out, the detective pulled out the city block by block, looking for any houses the man may have visited. After going through dozens of blocks, he found the house. It was the same one where Maria was found. The detective rushed to show the agent in charge. Could this really be the breakthrough they were looking for? After reviewing the evidence, the agent in charge agreed. The detective then asked for the police to surround the house and raid it. They found the man, but he wasn't the kidnapper. He was the owner of the house, but he had an alibi for the night in question. He was with his wife and kids the entire time. This was a big blow to the investigation. If he wasn't the kidnapper, then who was? But as the days went by, the detective would receive an anonymous tip. Someone called in and said that they knew who the kidnapper was. He gave them a name and described him in detail. When the FBI ran the man's name through their system, it came back as a hit. Not only was he a convicted sex offender, but he also lived in the neighborhood. And once they brought him in for questioning, he confessed to everything. His name was Charles, and he was a quiet man who kept to himself. He said that he saw Maria and her brothers at the mall and decided to kidnap her. He followed her and waited for the perfect opportunity to strike. Then he grabbed her and put her in his car. He drove her to his house and tied her up in the basement. He said he planned to sell her to a friend of his who was interested in buying a young girl. But when he went to the room where he kept the girl, she was gone. He panicked and called the police, thinking that she escaped. But little did he know, Maria had been rescued all along. So where were her brothers? Well, it turned out they were never kidnapped. After the police searched the house and found Maria, the brothers decided to run away from home rather than face the wrath of their parents. They ran away to a relative's house and no one knew about it. And that is why the girl behind the door remains unsolved to this day. Thanks for watching.